everyone. So, given recent events, I just wanted an easy, light video this week. And I might do a second one, I might not. I am so close to finishing out the school year that I'm having a hard time focusing on anything. We're just gonna go ahead and watch this as a nice, fun little palate cleanser before we head back into our year in the TikToks, either later this week or more likely next week. So let's go ahead and get started.
There is nothing that enrages me more than fat models.
I don't like the celebration of morbid obesity.
You're okay in the skin that you're in.
The stress is everything.
Just don't sit there getting fatter. Do something about it.
I am fat.
The fact that I have rolls on my belly doesn't make me any less of a human being.
I realized that I wasn't reading the text online. So this is just Spectrum. This series is called Spectrum. This is apparently season 2, episode 1. This is from 2020, I believe. It says, we invited 6 plus-size people to see the range of their beliefs and values. So before we watch them, I think it's a little hard to hear what they're saying, and I know a lot of you aren't watching the screen. So the first statement that they're kind of judging, agree versus disagree on, is, I am offended by the word fat.
The reason I am here is because I feel like in the past, fat has been such a derogatory term, and we've been so ridiculed for the way we look. It's almost like I want to take that word back and make it a positive thing. Oh, someone called me fat. So negative, and be like, yes, I am. You know what I mean? Just change the way we think of it.
A lot of words that should offend me don't. And I think it's because I'm just kind of I don't even need the word to know your intention.
Exactly.
So I know your intention, and if you're using it to hurt me, I don't care what word you use. I care that you wanted to hurt me. I just don't look at a word like that as being
You don't want to give it power.
No, I don't want to give it weight.
Yes.
So I don't really have much to say on that statement. If you don't view fat as an offensive word or whatever, that's you. That's your choice. I don't really understand the reclaiming of the word fat, but then making obese a slur when obese is a medical term. That for me, that's where the confusion is. You want to reclaim the word fat, you want to make it more neutral and an adjective, that's fine. Obese is a medical term, and it's trying to be I've heard a lot of fat acceptance people say it's a slur, and I just don't understand that. So the next statement was, being plus size is a choice. So we'll see how they agree and disagree on this.
I'm only standing on this one and not strongly disagree because some people do try to be plus size. There's lots of people in the gay community that are called eaters and feeders. So people do try to be bigger, but I don't think it's necessarily a choice. So that's the only reason why I'm not strongly disagreeing.
You hear the woman head? Yes, I feel that.
I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. Everyone was so happy for me. I hated myself. I hated the way I looked. I hated why I did, why I exercise, and things like that. And so I made the conscious decision of, my parents are not going to be supportive, or maybe they won't like it. My community, the Korean community, is going to be really disappointed that there's a fat Korean walking around the world. But it was a choice for me to say, well, I don't want to work out 8 hours a day every day and hate what I look like to be skinnier. So I'm going to let myself eat more than a quarter cup of white rice today.
I disagree because I believe in society, especially in America, we have this
idea that, oh yeah, all fat people ate themselves that way, that they just sit at home and they're lazy and they don't do anything and they ate themselves that way. But they don't take into account people who have a disease. They don't take into account people who work out and their body is just built that way. So there are all of these.
Okay, so I have something to say about the working out, but their body's just built that way. And I think that this is where there's a little bit of conflation with fat being the result of actions and behaviors primarily, and the over caricaturized version of a fat person. Now, I'm sure there are fat people that literally just sit and eat themselves to death all day. I think the vast majority of people who are overweight and obese do have busy lives. I believe that they have busy lives. I believe that they are probably on the go and they're not really thinking about what they're eating, so they don't realize that they're eating high calorie foods, portions that are entirely too big. They may have a desk job, and so they're sitting a lot of the time, and they don't realize that coupled with the high calorie food that they are eating and the sedentary lifestyle they lead is what leads them to be overweight and obese. I really just dislike this putting forth as the caricaturization of fat people as the only possible reality, or it's either that or it's completely genetic and completely outside of their control. No, that's not what most people are saying. Like, most people understand losing weight is fucking hard. It's hard. It sucks to a certain extent. Like, I'm not gonna say that it doesn't, but you can make small lifestyle changes that have bigger impacts. I started strength training. It was hard getting into it. I didn't like it at first at all. So I kept the threshold for what was strength training and what was done very low. I started out literally 5 minutes twice a week. That's all I did. 5 minutes of strength training twice a week. And now I'm up to 15, 20 minutes 3 to 4 times a week. Because it's a matter of establishing those habits first. Baby steps. Baby steps, lifestyle changes are what lead to long-term weight loss. The Asian girl saying she worked out 8 hours a day, I think that was hyperbole. I think it was meant to be hyperbole. I think the quarter cup of rice was meant to be hyperbole. But I don't like that painting of that's the only way you can be thin, is by devoting your entire life to working out and starving yourself, essentially. And that's the only way to be thin, and that's not the case. There's ways to slowly bring it down. It's still hard. It's still fucking hard. But it does not require this over-the-top effort to be thinner.
Person who's judging people don't take into account, and they just look at someone and they say, oh, you're fat and you're not doing anything about it.
But I also want to throw out there, like, it is possible that people have eaten themselves to that point, but then you look at, like, why did that happen? Like, there's trauma, there's rough coping mechanisms, there's so many different things that can lead to somebody resorting to that and then eating themselves.
Oh, okay, so her point here, I agree. I think that a lot of people are overweight because of improper coping mechanisms, using food as a coping mechanism. And if my voice sounds different, I realize that I had the mic too close to me, so I've adjusted it. So this should be the way it is for the rest of the video. But I agree that people have bad coping mechanisms, especially around food. People eat to comfort themselves. They eat when they're bored. They eat for a variety of reasons rather than just hunger. Some of these coping mechanisms could be the result of trauma. Again, not denying that. That doesn't make it right. I don't really, like, that doesn't make it outside of their control, I guess, is what I should say. It's not a matter of right and wrong, but it's a matter of outside of their control. Yes, they have trauma, and their response to that trauma is to eat to soothe themselves. Something else needs to happen. because then that coping mechanism becomes self-destructive, especially if they're eating themselves to 300, 400, 500 pounds. Then it has become, that coping mechanism has become self-destructive. It's the same with a drug addiction. Like, I've had family members that had like massive mental illness issues that they did not like the medication for, and so they self-medicated with drugs and alcohol. You are medicating yourself with food, be it for a mental illness or for trauma or whatever, then that coping mechanism is becoming self-destructive. I don't understand how trauma and coping mechanisms would legitimize a self-destructive coping mechanism.
To this situation, because I know that's what happened to me. I didn't choose it, but it happened.
I've been criticized for my size. 3, 2.
So the next statement is, I have been criticized for my size.
1, go.
Come on, everyone.
When I first went back to Korea, which is like the country of my parents, and like it was amazing for me, and I was like, wow, I look like everyone else, right? Like, this is my home country. This is supposed to be my place. It's not my place because I'm fat. And so walking down the street, people are like, do you know how easy it is for you to get liposuction here? They won't even scar because they can do it pretty for an Asian person or whatever.
My God.
I had family said, you know what? We'll fix your ears, we'll fix your nose, we'll fix your eyes, your lips, and all your fat. And that is just, it's mind-boggling to me that you would even think to offer that or think that I dislike my body. And I think that's also the thing. The critique comes from this idea of, you must hate how you look, so let me help you.
I think everyone in this entire room has been criticized for their body. Like, it doesn't really matter what size you are. You could be the skinniest girl in the world, and you're gonna be called like a fat bitch. Like, if you think that this is like exempt from you because we're bigger or we have different body types, like, no. We've all been shamed for our bodies.
People.
Well, I'm glad that he can at least acknowledge that being criticized for how you look is not something that is exclusive to fat people, and even being criticized for your size is not something that is exclusive to fat people. I think something that they missed, though, that he missed in particular, is that it's like, oh yeah, you can be the skinniest person in the world and still be called a fat bitch, which I believe is true, because it's just a matter of the intention of the person, the place where you are, and the beauty ideals in that area. But something else that can be done is that you can just be criticized for being too skinny. That does happen too. People can be criticized for their body in a variety of different ways. And it's not just around weight. It's around, like, even the Korean girl was like, you know, your eyes, your lips, your nose, you know, everything can be fixed with plastic surgery. That's just something that is prevalent in general.
Feel that they have the right to come up to you and impose their views onto you about your personal body. The fact that I have rolls on my belly and big thighs doesn't make me any less of a human being. My body is not for you. I didn't ask you. That's it.
I want to lose weight.
That one was pretty clear, but I'm going to repeat it just for in case anyone missed it. The next statement that they are judging now is, I want to lose weight.
3, 2, 1, go.
The reason I hesitated so much is because I will love the way I look no matter what. At the same time, if I was to keep dancing and keep going to the gym and all this, and then I just happened to lose weight,
This is an interesting rationalization for their desire to lose weight. So if you're not watching the screen, of the 6 people, 1 put it on strongly disagree, 2 people put it on somewhat disagree, and 3 people put it on somewhat agree. This person that's speaking now is trying to rationalize what they're saying. If I just kept working on stuff and happened to lose weight, that wasn't the question. It was, do you want, the statement was, I want to lose weight. This isn't a matter of circumstance. This is a matter of desire. I find it kind of telling. There's nothing wrong with wanting to lose weight. There isn't. there's nothing wrong with wanting to lose weight. It takes a level of personal responsibility, and I will admit, especially if it's something that you haven't tried in a healthy way and like you've only done fad diets before, it can be easy to go off the rails the first time and go too hard too fast. And that's why I personally am always like baby steps. Start with cutting out soda. You don't need soda. Work on cutting out soda. And especially if you don't drink diet soda, you drink like the full sugar soda. Work on cutting that out. You're saving yourself a shit ton of calories and excess sugar. It can be a matter of work on your portion sizes. Figure out, like, I know I snack a lot at night. Like, that is my prime time for snacking. And so working on reining back that snacking is something that I'm working on now. Another thing that I'm working on now is I have a real issue with sugar consumption. I can acknowledge that. I fucking love cake and candy and pastries and all of that shit. So right now I'm working on going, right now it's only 1 day a week, and I'm going to slowly work it up to where it's all but 1 day a week. And I was successful yesterday, and it's something I want to keep trying every week and working up to, is going a day without eating something with processed sugar as my snack. So for me, I swapped out the cake piece that I wanted yesterday for watermelon. Did I eat probably too much watermelon and had a shit ton of natural sugar? Yes. Baby steps though. Like, I probably didn't have any more natural sugar than I would have had in that cake piece anyway. And with the natural sugar, I had the benefit of the fiber. That's where I come down on this. It's like, it's a matter of baby steps. And it's perfectly okay to want to be thin.
Also be like, cool, I'll just love myself no matter what, is pretty much what I'm saying.
Oh, bye. See ya.
I want to be here because this is like the work that I do, and I feel like doing this is gonna like I feel like being here, someone's gonna say something to me and be like, oh, like you aren't for body positivity, you aren't for fat activism, you aren't for liberation, but like that has nothing to do with anybody else besides me. I think like if I this and I'm not being honest with myself, but saying like, you know what, sometimes I do think about losing weight because I do, and like everyone does.
Because there's privileges when you're smaller. So it's like, it's natural to think I want to be smaller because there's so many more options for me if I'm smaller, but I don't.
Okay, but it's also like, genuinely, when you're smaller, you feel better, especially if you got smaller through healthy means of exercise and eating right. I slept really well last night, and I attribute a portion of that to the fact that I didn't have processed sugar. There's benefits to doing the healthy things that lead to weight loss. And let's be honest, you look better when you're not morbidly obese. You look better when you're not obese. You look better when you're not overweight. Like, it's the reality of things.
Want to lose weight.
Skinny people get more privileges.
All right, so the next phrase that we're looking at is skinny people get more privileges. I think that one you could hear okay too, but just for the sake of it, I'm reading it out.
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, wait. Went the wrong way.
So they were all on some level of agree.
For me, since I am a dancer, it is the most annoying thing. Like, I go to auditions and I'm the only like plus size person there, and literally if you go to a concert and see an artist, you will like never see someone that looks like me dancing back up for like Chris Brown. All they care about is, oh, sex sells, and plus size isn't sexy, which.
So that's not only the case. Someone had explained, because I've watched some videos on like plus size ballet, plus size whatever. I was looking for like this channel at one point, and a good point was made that part of the reason with ballet is that it's about symmetry, and I think that goes a lot in the same way for dancing. If all of the backup dancers have roughly the same physique, then they blend into the background and the celebrity shines, which is the point. Backup dancers are meant to be backup. Now, if you had all plus size backup dancers, there would be a variety of different ways that fat would be distributed. Therefore, the homogenization of the background dancers is not as prevalent as it is with thinner dancers. And then on top of that, there is less accommodations needed if, like, there's joint issues for the plus size dancers. Backup dancers, I haven't watched many backup dancers, but if there's anything involving jumping or whatever, smaller dancers will typically get more height. There's more muscle there and less weight to lift with that muscle. So that's just my perspective on that.
It is, obviously, but they can't get that, out of their heads that skinny is like the like top tier of like life.
So what kept you though from on the strongly agree?
I don't really know. I just felt like it was like, it's like a big choice.
The world is created with smaller bodies in mind. Like everything we experience, when you sit in a folding chair, when you go on an airplane, when you go to the movie theater, and the unfortunate truth is our population is not that small. So just like...
It's not that small anymore. Let's not pretend that, like, and they say our population, we're going to talk about Americans here. 50 years ago, Americans were a lot smaller. And even now, Americans aren't as big as some of like the biggest fat acceptance people would like to believe. There's, granted, average woman size is around like a 14, 16, somewhere around there. But that still, that would be considered at best, at absolute best from the fat acceptance crew, a small fat. So most small fats would still be able to fit in standard size seating, standard size clothing, standard size whatever. So to say that, it's only made with smaller bodies in mind, the issue there is that it is within your control to change your body size. In terms of weight, in terms of width, height you can't really control. Width you can. And if you're not working on losing weight and then you expect everyone else to accommodate you, do you not see the entitlement there? This isn't a matter of disability. This isn't someone who needs a wheelchair, who has no say in the matter of, needing that wheelchair or not. It's just their reality. Being fat is largely a choice.
Organically speaking, smaller people have bigger privileges because the world's designed for them.
I had to quit a whole career because of my size. I got my first degree in musical theater performance. I was ready to go to Broadway. And then through college, I gained 65 pounds. And not only did I watch my professors lose interest in me, but I watched casting people lose interest in me. And that's how I ended up in education, because I want to teach that that's not okay. You can play any role, because that's what's baffling to me, is that we're in an age where in theater we can suspend our disbelief that animals can talk and things like that, but we can't accept that a plus size person could have somebody fall in love with them unless it's Hairspray. That's the only story we get, and that's infuriating.
I love my body.
Again, I think that one was pretty clear, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. The next phrase that they're looking at is I love my body.
3, 2, 1, go.
I love my body, but it took a lot of time to get there. When I graduated college and I was in the biggest place that I've ever been, I was in a depression that I can't even begin to explain about it. And then when I went off to grad school, I was like, something has to change. New city, new me. And so I got up every morning and I looked in the mirror and I was like, what can I like about myself today? And I learned how to just love every little part of me, because it is mine. It belongs to me. And if I don't love it, who is going to?
So what keeps you there?
That it took so much time to get there.
In being plus size, I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's here for me, and it's got me this far. It's sabotaged me in a lot of ways, and that's its own journey. I just think for like a lot of like younger folks, like when I was your age or younger, people said either hate your body or love your body. I wasn't either way, and I was in the middle, and so you feel so stuck, and so you feel so alone, and it's this idea of it's okay if you don't love your body. It's okay if you're not obsessed with it. Just be kind to yourself, and that's good enough. If you can be kind to your best friend, you can be kind to yourself, and so that is why I am here.
Every morning I'll wake up and I will like get out of bed and I'll look in the mirror and I will literally just like I'll rub like my chest, like rub my stomach, I'll like shake my ass and like touch my thighs. So like I want to like shower myself with love every day. And that's like really important to me to give myself the time to be like, oh, I appreciate my body for what it does for me. Like, do I want to change? Sometimes, sure. Will it? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But like at the end of the day, like I will love it regardless because it is like a home for me and my soul.
So I don't really have anything much to say about this. If you love your body, love your body. I understand struggles. Like I get all that. Loving your body is not something I particularly like to comment on because it's so personal. I will say when it comes to like body love, I don't particularly get it a whole lot myself. Not because I don't love my body or not love my body or love myself or don't love myself. It just was never, it's not something I put a whole lot of attention to. Because to me, where I derive a lot of my sense of self and a lot of my self-confidence is in my skills. Like, how I look is secondary. I really like being able, in order to facilitate these skills, I like to work out and I like to get stronger, and there's a variety of things around that. And I do want to, I think that learning how to eat right and maintain a smaller, like a proper body size, or learning how to maintain a healthy body weight is a skill in itself that has to be nurtured and has to be worked on. And that's how I view my weight loss. It is a form of skill building. I mean, if loving your body is important to you, more power to you. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, whatever for me.
Sweaty group hug. Oh, we're gonna twerk out?
Good humans, thanks for sticking around. So if
All right, so that's pretty much the end of it. We're going to go ahead and read a few of the comments. So we're going to read the top 10 top comments, and then we're going to sort by newest and read the top 10 newest comments. So the first one says, you should have also had someone who wasn't happy with being overweight and gotten their thoughts. Next one says, this video just convinced me that the obesity issue will never go away. The denial is insane. Number 3 says, being plus size isn't an issue of looks, it's an issue of health. 4th says, nothing has motivated me more to work out than this. Number 5 says, loving your body means giving it the care it deserves. Number 6 says, damn, she worked out 8 hours every day. Absolute superhuman. Number 7 says, as someone who has struggled with being overweight my entire life, please remember that loving your body also means doing the best to make it healthy. Number 8 says 72% of people disagree that being plus size is a choice is honestly terrifying. The world is doomed. Number 9 says they always say the same. There are people that are overweight because of sickness, even though most obese people who say this don't have any condition and it's only because of a bad lifestyle. And number 10 says, this video made me go to the gym and grind just to not be like them. Society is going the wrong way and it's sad. So let's see what the newest. Ooh, the first one is, I think, a bit cruel. It was only posted an hour ago. It says pigs. The next one says looks does not equal health. This one is fine with me. I don't think calling them pigs is really necessary. That's mean. That's not. I don't like dehumanization in any form, really, because I think that it's, I mean, you can disagree with someone 100%, but, and you can even, like, I tear down arguments all the time, but I think calling them pigs and stuff is crossing a line. Number 3 says, this was a wonderful video. Number 4 says, at 5:22, they looked so confused, like they were waiting the answer from the rest of the herd, which was an interesting observation. Number 5 is just an ellipses. Number 6 says, at 7:50, it's called working harder. Try it sometime. Number 7 says, at 2:36, work out 8 hours a day, LOL. The people in this video are insane. Number 8 says, the only thing heavier than their combined weight is the amount of denial and delusion in that room. Number 9 says, never seen so much delusional people together. And number 10 says, eat less food, move more, that's it, unless you have some disease, of course. That's the video. It's a short one this week. So I want to take a moment to comment on the Fat Sapphic Bro drama. This will be my last comment on it. I got into a back and forth with Fat Sapphic Bro in the comments. This is just going to be a TLDR because originally I was going to make a whole video on it and I'm just ready to be done. So I got into a back and forth with Fat Sapphic Bro in the comments. I really let them get under my skin, unfortunately, and I let my anger kind of drive my comments. And I don't think I said anything terrible, but I contributed to the general escalations, and eventually they dropped an old alias, an old Let's Play alias that I had that was based off a video game character. I don't know how they got it. I can't recreate how they got it. My family saw it. They asked me about it. I couldn't recreate. I told them I couldn't recreate how they got the information, so they are now convinced that Fat Sapphic Bro has more information on me than they've shown so far. And because the Fat Sapphic Bro both commented it and then posted that our exchange complete with my alias on their TikTok, my family is convinced that this is a doxing threat. And that was a whole discussion. And ultimately, I don't want to deal with this coming not only from Fat Sapphic Bro, but then my family that's now against this whole feud thing and is concerned that this will escalate to the point of them truly doxing me. I'm deciding to bow out of the feud. I understand that this is unsatisfactory for a lot of people, and I understand that this doesn't, my choice to back out seems disproportionate to the fact that they only revealed an alias and stuff. I get that. I don't want to deal with my family's anxieties over the situation, ultimately. And because I can't recreate how they got that information, how they got that name, I believe it was just connected to my Google account, so that's connected to this channel, so I think that that's part of it. But I can't say for sure. So I have to assume that they have more information than they've revealed so far. So ultimately, I'm bowing out. I have other things going on with family members' medical stuff and looking for jobs. And ultimately, Fat Sapphic Bro has far more time to devote to this feud than I do. Furthermore, this channel was meant to be fun for me. And I realized that the feud was making it a little bit stressful and bleeding into my everyday life a little bit more. And this was for the past year and a half until this feud, this was really something that I only focused on the weekends for the most part. And then I answered some comments here and there. And I want to return to that because it just is more comfortable and it's more like a hobby than it kind of bleeding into my everyday life. So I understand that this is unsatisfactory. I understand that some of you are disappointed. I understand that it feels like Fat Sapphic Bro won. I get all of that. But this is where I am. So I'm leaving it. I don't really want to deal with it anymore. And that's just where we are. Sorry for the TLDR. I'm just tired. I'm tired, and I just didn't want to. I didn't have it in me to do a full video on the comments and the escalations. This is the TLDR of it. I hope it was okay. I hope you guys understand. And this is where I'm leaving it. But thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.